important agreement between our countries, crucially protects the national security interests of the United Kingdom and our allies, and this has been...
His bizarre deal to give away the Chagos Islands, despite stitching up the UK and US and benefiting China in the process, is quite frankly unexplainable.
Have you ever felt utterly embarrassed in front of your peers? Now imagine that feeling on a global scale. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now back to the video. That's what Keir Starmer is experiencing right now. As he's excluded from high-level meetings with world leaders, we're left wondering, how did the man who aimed to lead Britain end up as an international outcast? The Chagos Islands deal seemed like a slam dunk for Keir Starmer.
Keir Starmer's fond of giving things away that I'm starting to wonder if he's a bit of a commie.
It has important benefits for Chagosian communities as well. So it's an important agreement. It is one that addresses a series of very complex issues that...
A chance to resolve a decades-old dispute and showcase his diplomatic chops on the world stage. But as with many things in politics, what looks simple on the surface often hides a labyrinth of complications beneath. The story of the Chagos Islands is a dark chapter in British history. Back in 1968, the UK essentially forced Mauritius to hand over these islands in exchange for independence. Thousands of residents were kicked out, a move that's been widely condemned as shameful.
Not to have signed any agreement that would put any of those at risk, and obviously full details of the agreement will be published in due course.
What makes you suspect of Keir Starmer personally?
Starmer himself is a man of very interesting background. I think his struggles over, well, I find that...
Starmer, eager to right this historical wrong, confidently announced plans to return the islands to Mauritius. But here's where things get messy. The new Mauritian Prime Minister, Navin Chandra Ramgoolam, isn't exactly thrilled with the deal his predecessor made. In fact, he's called it high treason and a sellout. Why? Because the agreement allows the UK and US to continue using a crucial airbase on Diego Garcia, one of the Chagos Islands. This isn't just about a few dots on a map. Diego Garcia houses a major US military installation that's strategically vital for Western interests in the region. Some experts are raising alarms that if control shifts to Mauritius, it could open the door for China to establish a rival base. Suddenly, what seemed like a straightforward act of historical justice has morphed into a potential security nightmare for the West. As if that weren't enough, the details of Starmer's deal remain shrouded in mystery. The UK government insists the handover is necessary due to a ruling by the International Court of Justice, but the lack of transparency is raising eyebrows and fueling speculation.
So this is a really important conversation to create that NHS of the future, a moment in our history. It's making sure that we can do the returns on the other and deploying 1,000 staff in to do that vital work. And that's why their numbers are so significant.
With each passing day, the Chagos deal looks more like a house of cards ready to collapse. If it falls apart, it won't just be embarrassing for Starmer, it could throw a wrench into the gears of UK-US relations.
Starmer has apparently sent newly appointed National Security Advisor Jonathan Powell to the Chagos Islands to get the deal over the line before Donald Trump takes office.
And we're confident that there are measures in here which support the interests of Chagosian communities, both here in the UK and abroad.
The agreement is seen as crucial for maintaining the strategic partnership between the two nations, and its failure would send shockwaves through diplomatic circles. As we watch this situation unfold, it's a stark reminder of how quickly the tides can turn in international relations. One minute, you're on top of the world, ready to solve a long-standing injustice. The next, you're scrambling to salvage a deal that's threatening to unravel the very alliances you sought to strengthen. But there's another player entering this diplomatic chess game, one who could tip the scales in unexpected ways. Donald Trump's shadow looms large over this crisis, and his influence might just be the wild card that determines the fate of the Chagos Islands and Keir Starmer's political future.
A great military, and we have a military that's not woke. You may have a few people on the top that are woke, and we're going to get rid of them so damn fast. In less than 2 years, my administration has accomplished more than almost any administration.
Remember when Starmer reached out to Trump after an assassination attempt? It seemed like a savvy move at the time, but in the unpredictable realm of Trump's foreign policy, even the most carefully laid plans can unravel in an instant. The real story behind their relationship is about to come to light. Keir Starmer's efforts to cultivate a relationship with Donald Trump have been nothing short of a diplomatic tightrope walk. It all started with that personal call following the assassination attempt at a Trump rally. Starmer was one of the few world leaders to reach out, a gesture that didn't go unnoticed. The plot thickened when the two met for a 2-hour dinner in New York during a UN summit. Trump reportedly described Starmer as a friend, a surprising development given their opposing political ideologies. But as quickly as this budding relationship formed, it's now threatening to crumble. The incoming Trump administration has thrown a wrench into Starmer's carefully laid plans for the Chagos Islands deal. Trump's team isn't just skeptical, they're outright hostile. They're demanding assurances that Starmer won't rush the agreement through before Trump's inauguration. It's a stark reminder of how quickly the political winds can shift. This sudden opposition isn't just a minor hiccup, it's a potential deal-breaker that could derail years of diplomatic efforts. Trump's America First approach has already strained relationships with allied nations during his previous term. Experts warn that a second Trump term could be even more aggressive, particularly when it comes to trade and defense spending. For Starmer, who's staked so much on this deal, it's a nightmare scenario. The implications of this clash extend far beyond the Chagos Islands. Starmer's exclusion from high-profile meetings during Trump's European visit speaks volumes. Downing Street's excuse? They claim it's because Starmer isn't officially Prime Minister yet. But let's be real.
Examples of AI and scans and radiologists working together to achieve much greater results. Plenty of examples.
Can you guarantee the British public that that spend will be zero by the end of next year?
This explanation is about as convincing as a chocolate teapot. Niall Gardner, a former advisor to Margaret Thatcher, didn't mince words. He stated that Starmer simply isn't taken seriously in Washington. The Labour leader is perceived as weak, his previous criticisms of Trump and the US administration coming back to haunt him. It's a brutal assessment that underscores the precarious position Starmer finds himself in. As we watch this diplomatic drama unfold, one thing is clear. The special relationship between the UK and US is entering uncharted waters. With Trump's influence looming large and Starmer struggling to find his footing on the global stage, the future of UK-US relations hangs in the balance. As the dust settles on this diplomatic debacle, it's clear that UK diplomacy is teetering on a knife's edge. Starmer's grand plans have crumbled, leaving Britain's international standing in shambles. The Chagos Islands deal, once a beacon of hope, now threatens to become a millstone around the UK's neck. In this new world order, where alliances shift like sand and former friends become potential adversaries, the UK needs a serious rethink of its global strategy. Starmer's missteps have exposed the dangers of relying on personal relationships in international politics. It's not enough to simply hope for the best. Britain needs a robust, adaptable approach that can weather the storms of global uncertainty. The future of the special relationship between the UK and US hangs in the balance. As Trump's influence grows and Starmer struggles to find his footing, one can't help but wonder, is this the beginning of the end for Britain's role as a global player? Only time will tell, but one thing's for certain. The road ahead for UK diplomacy looks rockier than ever.